In a small, peaceful town nestled in the hills, there lived a man named Thomas. Thomas was not an ordinary man. He wasn't known for his strength, his wealth, or his exceptional skills. What set Thomas apart from the others was his unwavering calmness in the face of every storm, both literal and metaphorical.
Thomas worked as a blacksmith, crafting tools and weapons for the townspeople. His shop was small, with a single window that let in the soft light of the morning sun. Inside, the rhythmic sound of hammer striking metal echoed through the air, and the smell of burning coal lingered in the atmosphere. Despite the intense heat from the forge, Thomas remained calm, his face serene, his movements deliberate and precise.
One day, a young man named Lucas entered Thomas's shop. He was visibly upset, his face flushed with anger. Lucas had just learned that his father, a wealthy merchant in the town, had lost everything in a series of bad investments.
How could this happen?
Lucas stormed into the shop, slamming the door behind him.
My father worked his entire life for this. Now everything is gone. It's unfair.
Thomas, who had been working on a horseshoe at his anvil, didn't look up immediately. He continued to work, letting the rhythmic clang of his hammer fill the silence.
Lucas paced back and forth, his fists clenched in frustration.
What am I supposed to do now, Thomas? How am I supposed to face the town when they see us fall so hard? My father is ruined. My family is ruined.
Finally, Thomas put down his hammer and slowly turned to face Lucas. His face remained calm, a soft expression of understanding in his eyes.
Lucas,
Thomas said, his voice steady and gentle.
I understand your pain, but anger and frustration will only cloud your judgment. When a storm hits, it's not the loudest person who survives, but the one who knows how to stand firm in the calm.
Lucas stopped pacing and looked at Thomas, confused.
What are you talking about? How can I stay calm when everything is falling apart?
Thomas smiled, a peaceful and knowing smile.
Let me tell you a story.
Lucas crossed his arms, skeptical but willing to listen.
Many years ago, I was faced with a situation much like yours, Thomas began, his voice calm but filled with weight. I was just starting out as a blacksmith, and I worked for a nobleman in the neighboring town. One day, the nobleman came to me in a state of panic. His prized stallion had run off, and he feared it would be stolen or lost forever.
Lucas leaned in, intrigued.
The nobleman came to me, shouting and demanding I help him find the horse immediately, Thomas continued. He was frantic, pacing back and forth, yelling orders at me. Everyone around us was swept up in his anxiety, but I remained calm. I told him, if we act in haste, we will only make the situation worse. We must first think, then act.
Lucas raised an eyebrow.
Did it work?
Thomas nodded.
The nobleman was angry at first, but I insisted we sit for a moment and think things through. After a few minutes, we made a plan. We followed the tracks of the horse, carefully and methodically. In the end, we found the stallion, unharmed, in a nearby field. It was calm, grazing, unaware of the chaos it had caused.
Lucas looked at Thomas, still puzzled.
So what's your point?
My point is this.
Thomas said softly.
In moments of crisis, the calmest person is often the one who sees the path forward. Anger, fear, and panic cloud your mind, but calmness allows you to think clearly, to make decisions with purpose and precision.
Lucas looked out the window, his mind racing.
I see what you mean, but it's so hard to stay calm when everything seems out of control.
Thomas walked over to a shelf and picked up a small, delicate glass ornament. He held it up, letting the light shine through it.
Look at this. It's fragile, beautiful, and delicate, but it's also strong in its own way. The pressure it takes to create something so intricate is immense. Yet it remains intact, simply because the person who crafted it was steady and patient.
Lucas looked at the ornament, feeling a sense of quiet calmness wash over him. He could see Thomas's point now, but there was still a lingering doubt in his heart.
But what about my family? What do I do when everyone is looking to me for answers?
Lucas asked, his voice uncertain. Thomas placed the ornament back on the shelf and walked over to Lucas, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder.
Lucas, your family needs you to be strong, but not in the way you might think. Strength doesn't always mean raising your voice or fighting back. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from within, By being the calm in the storm. When others are panicking, you must remain steady. When they look to you for guidance, give them your calm, give them your clarity. They will follow your example.
Lucas stood silently for a moment, taking in Thomas's words. The weight of his father's failure, the pressure of the town's expectations, all seemed less overwhelming now. He understood that he didn't have to have all the answers immediately. What mattered was how he responded to the challenge ahead.
I think I understand now.
Lucas said quietly.
I need to be the calm for my family, for the town. I don't have to have everything figured out right away. I just need to stay steady.
Thomas nodded, a gentle smile on his face.
Exactly. The world will always face challenges and storms will always come. But if you remain calm, you'll find that you can weather them with grace and wisdom.
With that, Lucas left the shop, his heart lighter and his mind clearer. As he walked through the town, he noticed that the frantic energy that had once consumed him had dissipated. He felt a newfound sense of peace, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Thomas watched him go, a quiet satisfaction settling over him. He knew that sometimes the most powerful force in the world was not strength or anger, but the quiet resilience of a calm heart. The storm may have been raging around them, but in that moment, Thomas knew that calmness was the true power, something that would carry them all through. As time passed, Lucas embraced the wisdom that Thomas had shared with him. Though the journey was not without its challenges, he remained calm and steady, guiding his family through the storm of financial ruin. He worked tirelessly to rebuild, but unlike before, he did so with a clear, methodical mind. Instead of reacting impulsively, he took the time to think carefully about each decision. And with every setback, he reminded himself of the calm he had learned to cultivate. Lucas's newfound composure began to earn the respect of the townspeople, where others saw the fall of a once prosperous family. They now saw a young man who had found resilience in the face of adversity. His father, once desperate and angry, began to trust Lucas's decisions, and together they started to rebuild their merchant business. But this time, Lucas was determined to diversify. He introduced new ideas, sought out unconventional investments, and made partnerships with neighboring towns.